Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray. We're going to have a fun show today. I've already been ridiculed before we ever even gone on the air, but we have figured a problem out that I was going to call the Geek Squad. Instead, I've got the Jeek Squad in here this morning. You know who that is, third Saturday. We got them in here, and what do? They go after the old man. They come in here, and we got it worked out. Frank Barton, good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, everyone.
And John Gordon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning,
the
everybody.
The problem solver.
Well,
okay.
I just happened to notice that there was an issue.
There was an issue. I've been trying to get Frank Barton on his, send him a text, and it was going to his email, which he doesn't have anymore for 14 years, and I always thought he had blocked me out. You know, it's always good to be blocked out by someone you respect so much and, you know, means so much to this show, but he didn't block me out. It was just I blocked myself out. That's the problem. So good Saturday morning, folks. We've got a great show this morning. Shelby McCullough has brought along her, what kind of trumpet is that again? The Bach trumpet. She's got it in here, and she's going to give us some music today. I promised y'all that last week. Because, you know, when you get Frank and John and the competition gets really fierce in here, and I look up and Frank's already, you know, he's sad. You know, he had to come in his 1948 Chevrolet truck, you know. How old's that truck, Frank?
23 years old. 23
years old. Okay, and it's got 700, how many thousand miles?
430.
430 miles. Frank, his new truck.
You're embellishing when it doesn't need to be embellished.
It doesn't need to be embellished. But anyway, that's old reliable, which I've been in many times doing that. So you know what Frank and John is in here, not Frankie and Johnny. We need to get that out as a little theme song.
You know,
get y'all together. Shelby, we need to try to find that, maybe Frankie and Johnny by Elvis. I think he sang that too. But a lot of fun this morning. We're going to talk. Got some great guests lined up, particularly two of them. One lined up by Frank, and I'm always happy to talk to someone with the Master National Retriever Club. In fact, we've got the lead person, right, Frank, the boss.
She's in charge this year.
And it's going to be in Paducah, which is a short trip for Frank.
Closest event it's ever been to Memphis.
It is. I guess it is. Yeah. I guess St. Louis was the closest to this. Yeah. But the lady that we're going to have on today, it's been twice I see to her country, in Oregon. So and you've made that trip many times, Frank.
I have.
Yes, you have. But we're going to talk to Annette Pacheco. Is that close?
That is actually correct.
All right.
Perfect.
Actually, and then Frank. Thank you for that. John, you got us a special guest today. Who are we going to talk to?
Nathan Ratchford. He's our new conservation communications coordinator, which is a new position. So he's the first one in it.
And how long has he been there?
Less than a year.
Okay.
8-10 months, something like that.
All right. He's got a great background of communication, particularly writing, that you folks out there, waterfowl enthusiasts, might recognize his name. And looking forward to talking to Nathan. And we're also going to talk to Bubba Spencer. So if you have any grudges against Bubba after his 31 years with the TWRA in Hardeman County, if he's given you a ticket, well, too bad. Bubba is probably given a few in 31 years, but he is now officially retired after more than 3 decades of being a wildlife officer at the TWRA. And we're going to talk to Bubba this morning about his career. And, of course, you know his lovely wife, Amy, is the communications coordinator for us here over in West Tennessee with the TWRA. And we're also going to talk to Joan Howe because it is wood duck banding time. Now, I've been on one of those. It's a dirty job. It's a hot job because it comes about in a time of the year when it's hot and it is dirty. But Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge is going to be banding wood ducks next weekend. It's open to the public. You got to be a member of the Friends of the Refuge. That's real simple and everything like that. We're going to talk to one of our favorite guests, and that's Joan Howe. She is the refuge ranger. And then we'll close out the show today with David Best out of S.Y. Wilson and Primary Tackle. They got a lot of things going, including Christmas in July out there at one of the oldest buildings in Tennessee, not just West Tennessee, but out of S.Y. Wilson. There's a lot of ghosts still up in the attic out there, and we'll be talking to David at the end of the show, and then, of course, next week, Ron will be back, Bill Cooks will be back, and we'll kind of do a wrap-up on ICAST that's going on this week, as we talked about on last week's show. But I know you guys, Frank, these are hot times. Are you still training?
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning. Now, and then we have some days like
we got
when the
some
hurricane
now.
when the hurricane came through last week.
Yeah.
Today's not bad.
Today's not bad.
Today, this morning was pretty good.
It's going to get, but it's not supposed to be out of the 80s, if you believe those high-dollar weathermen, for the next 7 days. And they try to go 10 days, but I'm more concerned about 3, But so you've been able to train early, right?
Yes, and mostly water work. Just do mostly water work if we can.
And you had a chance to go to Paducah.
We were up there, and Annette, I'm sure we'll talk about it. We were up there last week doing scouting, I guess is a good way of putting it.
For the Master Nationals?
For Master, putting, tying up a few loose ends so that when we come back in a couple of months, more things will be in place than they were earlier. And it's going to be a very nice event. Great place.
Looks like a great place.
It is a wonderful place to go.
Centrally located for a change.
And it's early, so that creates.
What's the dates? When is that?
We're going to start it on September 23rd.
I thought you usually went in October or something.
Yeah, we try. October is a more normal time, but we're kind of that particular venue is used a lot. And we are sandwiching ourselves between 2 other groups that have historically used it during this time of the year. So normally we would go from a weekend to a weekend.
That's what I thought.
But this time we're starting in the middle. We're starting on a Monday.
Okay.
So that we only consume one weekend.
Well, that'll be good.
So that's going to be a little. That'll be a little interesting.
Yeah. How many dogs? You know.
We are right now. We are at 1,100 that have qualified, and we've still got a few more a few more tests.
You got
the
2.
End of July.
You got 2, right?
I have 2 dogs that are qualified.
All right.
So we're gonna. I'm still predicting that we're going to have an entry. We'll have qualifiers of probably close to 1,400.
Wow.
And we'll have an entry of around 1,100.
And that's open to the public. What, you get there 3 hours or less?
Yes, if you wanted to come up there
if you wanted
and
to come
watch.
up and watch.
Sure.
It's a big event, and I know a man who loves dogs too, and he's sitting right next to me here. How's Buster doing?
Oh, Buster's really good. He had his DUTV debut.
He did
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas Teal episode 1 of the show, and
So
I got to ask, how did he do?
Oh, he did fantastic. You should watch it, Frank.
I will.
Probably at this point, like I said,
Is it
now
gone?
that it's only on it's on the Sportsman channel, so you kind of got to catch it when it comes on now, kind of like old school TV.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I've got the file.
Well, you
should
should
email you the file.
have let us know. We'd like to watch it. You know, you have to.
As an owner nothing gets you more nervous than having your dog watched by other people. Nothing.
You
think you're worried about what your kids might do?
Well.
Yeah. So explain that. How was that? That was his coming out party, right?
Well, I've had him on DU Nation on several things before
Yeah.
too. But this was just big, for national television, right?
Yeah.
I just.
Who was more nervous, you or him?
At the moment, I really wasn't nervous. It's teal hunting. It's not exactly,
Okay.
It's pretty easy for rudimentary for a retriever. It's short retrieves and
So
most of
Buster
them
had a
less than 50
starring
yards.
role then.
Yeah.
I could Google Buster and it would come up to that. Huh?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know about that
at this point.
Well,
if
so
you
what's
Google
going
Buster,
on?
but-
What's going on with you at DU? What's happening?
Man, planning as always. And
It's
like I
that
said,
time.
the television show is out, right? DUTV.
Yeah.
So we're getting in episodes just about every week to review that are going to be going up in the next.
You've already
weeks.
made all your travels right for now.
Well, I'll be back on the road here in August. We're going to do some DU Nation filming around New Orleans, actually, a couple of different episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's going to kind of kick that off. And then August 20th, I head for North Dakota. And we'll do early Canada goose in North Dakota. And then hopefully drop down into Nebraska for some teal. And then back in Texas for teal again. So, right back around.
Well, I know August will not be exactly cool to be.
No. But at least it's North Dakota August, which is better than Memphis August.
All right, better than Memphis August. All right, she's holding up 2 fingers. All right, are you ready? Are you ready to close out this segment with something?
Oh.
Huh? She's got to get her horn out. Come on, you got to be prepared here. Come on now.
I'll do it. 800 things.
Uh-huh.
Larry.
She's trying to do 800 things here. All right, just put it on. She can always cut out her own segment. I mean, she does this show together. So, what do you want to do for me? Let's do a little happy something. Something happy. Like do that song that you play. It's close to your heart. There it is. When those Saints go. Where are you going to hear that? Any other radio show? Yes. There you go. And then with that, we'll just march on out of the room here, Frank. We just lost Frank and John. We'll be right back with Frankie and Johnny on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. Good Saturday morning to all you folks in Brownsville on 95.3 FM and of course, 105.3, and, of course, in Jackson on News Talk 101.5, and right here in Memphis every Saturday morning from 9 to 10:30 on AM 790, 92.9 HD FM. And this is Third Saturday, which we bring in the competitive segment announcements that we will be doing later on, the duel between John Gordon. And what's your title again? I keep forgetting it. It's
King of All Media.
King of All Media. That's K-O-M.
I like that.
That's K-O-M.
Well, it is.
Yeah, just don't come. There's K-O-M.
Pretty good. King of All Media.
What's your official title?
Media Productions Manager.
Thank you. I like that. Okay. And, of course, I don't know what's your title, Frank? Retired.
I'm Vice President of Region 2.
Vice President of Region 2 for the National.
Master National.
Well, we got a guy on the phone with us right now that knows a little thing about dogs, and he knows a little bit about horses. But he's been with TWRA. He recently announced his retirement back in June after 31 years of the TWRA. And most of you folks out there, if he gave you a ticket, don't hold that against Bubba Spencer. Okay, he was just doing his job. And I don't know if anybody did a better job and was more well-known and respected in Hardeman County than our good friend Bubba Spencer. Good morning, Bubba.
Good morning, Larry. That was very kind of you.
Well, we go back a long way, Bubba.
Yes, sir.
I know that, and it just doesn't seem possible, 31 years. And I don't know, was that entirely in Hardeman? Where did you serve? Huh?
Yes, I've been one of the few, Larry, that I started in Hardeman and retired in Hardeman, and there's not a lot of people that
No. I mean, because you guys kind of move around when you
move around or take a different job or whatever the situation. And I found Hardeman and stayed here my whole career and planning on staying here in retirement.
Well, talk about when you first started. Did you have the option? Did you know you was going to Hardeman, Bubba?
Well, actually, it's sort of funny. When I started, they told me I'm either going to Hardeman or Henry. It depends on which position came open. And Brian Thompson ended up getting an assistant supervisor job, which opened Hardeman, and that's why I came to Hardeman and not Henry.
Wow. Did you come straight out of college, or what was that?
Yes.
And where are
right
you
out
from?
of college.
Where were you from? Where are you from originally then?
I'm from a little place called Brewston. You know.
Oh, I know where
is?
Brewston. I used to buy a lot of clothes there at that. At the outlet
factory.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
yes.
I don't know.
You're really going back in time if you talk about.
Hey man,
the old outlet store at Brewston.
That was why I went to Brewston on the way to Paris, Tennessee.
Yes.
You know, you went through Brewston. I think that's Hollow Rock or whatever it was.
Brewston Hollow Rock.
Yeah.
That's
see
it.
there. I know some of those things. And so when you came out, where'd you go to college?
University of Tennessee at Martin.
Yeah. So when you came out of that, you wanted to be a wildlife officer. Was that the plan when you were growing up? Is that what you wanted to do?
You know, when I was a kid, Larry, I read a book called Halt. I'm a federal game wildlife officer. Halt. I'm a game warden. By Willie J. Parker, and that sort of started it.
And never in your wildest dreams, Hardeman was there. So talk about Hardeman County, what it means to you. I'm assuming you met your wife there. There's a lot of things going on with this thing.
Yeah.
So talk about that, the connection to Hardeman County.
You know, when I started, Larry, Hardeman was a very rural county. At the time, we had more deer than we had people.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
right.
was a little more rough and tumble back in the early '90s, as you well know. And
yes,
man, it was just a fun place to work.
Yeah.
It was adventurous. Yeah. Every day.
Yeah.
And over time, it just grew on me. And I love the ruralness of it as compared to other places, especially in the past.
And you say in the past because I know times have changed and things along that line. We got social media and all this stuff going on. The days of Timex, you know what that means, don't you? I mean, not the wristwatch, but the deer. You know, and I've been on some of those details. You know.
Yeah, you know, it's sort of funny. When I started, we used to put out a 6-pointer, and someone would shoot it with a Marlin 30-30.
Yes,
and, you know, today you can put out a 130-inch 8-point, and people are looking at it with Swarovski binoculars.
That's right.
And so, you know, it's just a lot has changed. Some for the good, some not so much for the good.
But you've also had some memories. I mean,
oh gosh,
talk about because like you and I have known each other a long time, and I know I started at the paper in '88 as the outdoor editor, and you were, you know, and worked my way up to meet you and some of the other guys. The old timers are now a lot of them are gone. There's not, you know, 31 years you spent, but talk about some of the. Maybe a couple of unique memories that you have of being there that long.
You know, gosh, just the stories. You know, I've got so many funny stories.
Yeah.
I've got some scary stories.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, and I've got a lot of good memories.
Well, you've rescued animals.
Yeah, a lot of animals. I've done a little bit of it all.
Yeah, I mean,
know, Larry, a couple of things that jump out at me.
Yeah.
You know. You know, I remember, you know, getting in some fights back in the day with people.
Yeah.
And it's sort of funny. I was telling somebody a story. I said, I remember one time we were down by outside of Milton. They shot a deer at night.
Yes. Oh,
and,
yeah.
The landowner called, and they didn't get the deer. And so I went down there, and myself and Sam Bedwell were hit out on it.
Yeah.
They came. They jumped out, grabbed the deer. Anyway, we got in a fight in the middle of a gravel road at about 1 o'clock in the morning. Ended up, they took off. We caught one guy.
You did?
He gave up the other guys. We went all the way down there to Mississippi about 2 o'clock in the morning, beat on the old boy's trailer door.
They had to go to Mississippi, right?
Got him out of the trailer and took him to jail.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, think about it. In those days, man, we didn't charge anybody for fighting. They didn't call and complain about fighting. You know,
no.
It was a different time.
A different time. So you've
different time and a lot of fun. And those individuals in that particular store, we still have a laugh about it today.
Well, again, we're talking to Bubba Spencer, retired back June 17th, TWRA, after 31 years with the agency, all of it in Hardeman County. And, of course, that's where I deer hunt to this day. right out with the McCory farm. You know that.
Out there, Mr. James McCory. You know,
where you get some hay sometimes and things like that. And of course, I grew up with the Tigner farm on the other side of Bolivar, and we always used to meet at Webster's.
Yes. And those, gosh, you know, the good days of Webster's, Larry, you know, I really missed the time when opening day was a big event. County. Yeah. Countywide, and, you know, people used to just flock to Webster's for the big buck contest and just to see the deer. Yeah. And, you know, those times have come and gone, and that is sad.
That's sad because a lot of us have great memories, whatever it might be, but you've got a passion for not only your job, but about bird dogs and horses, yes. Bubba. Yes. I mean, how many horses y'all got now?
Oh, I'd have to count them. I think about.
You just had a colt, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, we've got several, and actually, before you called earlier this morning, I went out and I bred a stallion to a mare.
Oh, so. You did? In your spare time. I bet the stallion like that. Okay, we'll move on from that. But
the mare wasn't too excited.
No, the mare
wasn't too.
But you do have several horses. You got some walking horses, don't you? I mean.
Yes, all walking horses, and we have about 15 English pointers that we use as competition field dogs.
And y'all are really into that, and I know I was telling Bubba off the air before we started, I ran across a video of he and Amy and Colt, which is understandable why that's his name.
For several reasons.
Several reasons there, but he was 4 months old, and Amy was talking and holding him, and one of your dogs had just done well. So talk about that side of y'all is your field trial, because that you guys really love that too. I know.
Yeah, we love the competition aspect of the field trials. It combines a lot of our loves. We love dogs, and we love horses, and we love the outdoors, and so just the totality of bringing all those into play. Yeah. And Amy and I are both very competitive.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and you was talking about that. That was in 2014. We won the dog of the year for the whole the nation with our amateur dog.
With Purina, that was the dog of the year, right?
Purina dog of the year in 2014.
Did you hear that, Frank Barton? Yeah.
I'm listening.
Frank's listening.
Anything has to do with dogs perks my ears up.
Frank's going to listen, but
Bubba, the only downside to that, we've been trying to get back to that win again, and we've not been able to recreate it yet. So
I think you got some dogs now. I think you're pretty proud of right now.
We've got about 3 that.
Yes.
Hopefully we might could repeat that again this coming year.
Well, I've got a retirement gift for you when we can get together. A friend of mine has written a book about field trials and the national.
I saw that.
I've got a copy for you that I want you and
that would
Amy,
be awesome.
I want y'all to read it. I'm just about through with it right now, and it tells the history of the National Bird Dog Championship, particularly starting here in Memphis. And when I got through with it, and I think that y'all would really enjoy reading it. So, I've got it for you, and I'll get it to you.
You know.
Eventually.
Most people don't realize that the National Championship, Larry, is the longest continuous sporting event in America.
Isn't that something?
There's nothing older.
Nothing older, and
nothing older.
If you haven't done it, folks, it's the third Monday in February normally. I think that's right.
That generous. Close.
Yes, a second Saturday, a second Monday, whatever it might be. But I've still got my. And I am going to ride a horse someday, okay? But I need to ride one of yours that's named Maggie or a Daisy May or something.
Well, I think the last time you rode one was one of my dad's, and you complained about it. It was the smoothest horse we got, and you complained about how rough it was.
Well, that's why Henry Reynolds walked so funny all of his life, you know. I remember that. But Bubba Spencer, buddy, thank you for all your years of service and your friendship, and we'll talk later on down the road, but again, wanted to get you on to talk about it. Congratulations on the career, and I know the life is going to be fun. Colt's 10 now. You can actually grow up with him now. I mean,
yes, sir.
You don't have these 8 to 5 jobs, do you, Bubba? I mean,
No, I don't. Never have.
And all that overtime you made, Bubba. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being with us.
You,
okay.
Larry.
All right. Talk
Yes,
to you
sir.
down the road, buddy. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bubba Spencer. Let's take a break and come back. Wow, 31 years. All right. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, where we celebrate everything outdoors. And probably the only outdoor show in America we got live trumpet playing.
Yeah, that's
from
true.
our producer, Shelby McCall.
Yes.
A great job by Shelby.
Yep.
Without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend of the outdoors.
Myth.
Larry Ray.
You were rolling. You threw myth in there, you know.
Well, it's a man, a myth, and a legend,
I've
right?
never been high on myth in my life. Okay?
Myth, Larry.
M-Y-T-H. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It went right over my head there for a minute there. I didn't know.
Well, you're a myth and a legend.
I
right?
am. Yeah, I'm a legend in my own mind here, but I am middle-aged.
We had a dog named that way.
You did have a dog named
Yeah,
Myth?
legend in her own mind.
Okay. Well,
There you go.
doing pretty good for a guy that's 162 years old, middle-aged for a 162-year-old.
In dog years, Larry, I think you're that.
I bet I can run down an airport coming off a plane real fast, you know. And I'm
faster than
no, we won't get into that.
No.
All right. Well, we got a special guest right here that John has set up. And, I'm looking forward to talking to this young man because a lot of you folks might have probably read a lot of his copy as a writer. You folks knew him as associate editor at Gundog and, of course, Wildlife Magazine. And
It's wildfowl there.
yeah, wildfowl. Well, what did I say? Wildlife.
You said wildlife.
Well, it is a wildlife. It
Yeah.
is. I live a wildlife, but wildfire. I'm glad you're here. You copy editor, you need to work.
Well, Nathan had to read some of my stuff as part of his job in the
yeah.
past.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that. But anyway, he's now the new conservation communications coordinator at Ducks Unlimited, and it's happy to have on Outdoors with Larry Ray, Nathan Ratchford. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, Larry. Glad to be here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it. Talk a little bit about what you do for DU now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a brand new position over at DU, so we're kind of building this plane while we're flying, so to speak. But it's exciting times at DU. We're just growing so quickly, delivering more acres than ever before. So happy to be a part of this really talented team over here. So some of my new responsibilities here in this position kind of include, elevating some of our more important stories, working closely with our conservation team, our science team.
Yeah.
And then kind of, working with the magazine, our digital, social, and just kind of working across different departments in order to elevate some of these stories that are so important to us, but we're hoping to bring to new audiences. So, it's kind of, it's always developing, but really exciting.
Well, I know a lot of folks know your background in writing, and you're writing about waterfowl, which undoubtedly is one of your loves. So tell us a little bit about how you came to this job and what appealed to you about it. And I know you love to write, and you've got here, as you told me, he writes about waterfowl, conservation, upland hunting, and the dogs that break our hearts. I like that. That was a good introduction. So talk about how you got here. What made you want to do this?
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. So as you mentioned, I spent some time as an editor for Gundog and Wildfowl previously for 3 years. And that was, the perfect job for me at the time, particularly with Gundog. I've been a dog nut since I'm 6 years old, carrying around an AKC dog breed book that was heavier than I was.
Okay.
Needed to know all the breeds, needed to know their histories, and that's carried through, my whole life. Dogs have always been, the one thread through it all, I'd say. Just so passionate about them. But yeah, so in Gundog and Wildfowl, obviously some exposure to upland hunting, waterfowl hunting, being able to write about all of that. After my time there, got some really great opportunities to do some really interesting work and do some awesome hunts. But I was looking to break into the conservation space.
Good for you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Pennsylvania, born and raised, and
that's what I was going to ask you, because I know you don't sound like you're from around here. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's from up there in the PA there, buddy.
He's in the PA, yeah, up there.
Yeah,
where about in Pennsylvania? Where are you from in Pennsylvania then, Nathan?
Small little town that no one's ever heard of called Dalton, and that's near Scranton, Pennsylvania, about 20 miles north of there. So,
okay, yeah,
small little community. We had one market downtown. I always walk down to, and
well, you'll fit right in with John then. I mean, he's in a small town person. I mean, you're.
Well, like I said, I got to write checks for my power and my.
Yeah, you got to write checks for his power. So talk about Nathan John as joining the team. What does Nathan add to the DU team?
I tell you, like I said, this is a new position, and I give Nathan all the credit in the world for really grabbing the bull by the horns, so to speak, and really diving into this big time. Because what he has to do is be a liaison between a lot of different facets of the Ducks Unlimited world, and really being able to communicate what we're doing on the ground, all across North America. Is challenging. There's a lot of parts to it, a lot of moving parts to it. We just got a massive donation, for the Prairie Pothole region.
Yes, right, yeah.
That is going to be, could have a tremendous effect on the number of birds over the next decade, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I say, Nathan's done a great job of really breaking this down, what we do for the masses, right? And really, like I say, bridging the gap between, like I said, our digital media people, our magazine, our conservation people. I mean, he's working with all those folks on a daily basis and has really been great at conveying their messages.
And I know, Nathan, were you familiar with DU? Were you familiar with Memphis? I mean, this was probably a transition for you, right? I mean, John's shaking his head.
That's a no, Larry.
That's a no.
Familiar.
Yeah, because this is a different area, So
yeah,
talk
absolutely.
about the transition for you to come here. A lot of, as I say, I don't know how many times, Frank and John are both in, I don't know how many people, 70,000 people drive around Walnut Grove every day, 40 to 70,000, and still don't know what that flag with the duck on it means. So what does DU mean to you?
Oh, what a question, Larry. DU, what it means to me has definitely evolved in my time here. And certainly, my vision of what DU was before I joined DU was different. But it's always held, this prestigious, kind of beacon in the conservation space.
Yeah.
And how unique it is, and how it's a grassroots by hunters for hunters, but also just does all this work that affects people way beyond the hunting community.
Yeah.
And learning more about those impacts, and we have such an incredible team here.
Yes.
And John paints me very, in a very very positive light, but really I'm just a small piece of this puzzle.
Oh, there is no small piece. There's no small piece in the DU puzzle.
Well, and the thing is, too, we have so many puzzle pieces that we really, from membership to our conservation team, informs our science-based decisions. It's a really incredible organization to be a part of, and just, help bridge some of the gaps in our communication efforts. So it's DU, right now it's hard to even put in words, but it really is just, I think, we're the best kept secret in conservation.
I think so. Yeah. And I know that when I became outdoor editor at the Memphis newspaper in April of '88, one of the first things I did was I joined DU, of course, among other things. And I've always prided myself, I don't know if John even knows this, that I was the very first Conservation Communicator of the Year award that I got in New Orleans at one of the DU conventions down there. and that's a prized possession for me.
I didn't know that, Larry.
In my office,
you
know, and
that's incredible.
Yeah, and the great Wade Bourne was, of course, my man behind me. That and I knew nothing about it, but I was there when they put the first shovel in the ground for the DU headquarters.
Man, Chuck Smith and Billy Dummett right there. A big
all
part
right
of that.
there. And
that's awesome, Larry.
Skinny little old Larry Ray, who's still around. Still around at I don't mind. I'm 81. I'm still around. I'm still kicking. Just not as high, but any position at DU, I think, is no small position there. And having John on the show once a month helps that. And of course, Frank's passion for waterfowl hunting just adds so much to the show. So we want to wish you. I know you hadn't been on the job about a year or so. How long have you been on the job now?
It'll be a year this September.
There you go. So
my first summer in Memphis. So if to speak to the transition,
the weather,
the heat has been the hardest part.
Well, I can imagine somebody from Pennsylvania adapting to our heat. I don't even know why we have weathermen on TV. It's hot. It's July. You know.
That's the forecast. It's hot, people. There you go.
It's hot. It's tripled. We never had heat indexes and things along that line. You know. But
no, we didn't.
Anyway, well, Nathan, thank you, buddy, for being with us on Outdoors with Larry Ray, and we got your number, and we'll stay in touch, and I'm sure John will give you the true details about me when you see him the next time, okay? All right.
It was a pleasure, Larry.
All right. Thank you,
much.
Man. Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, Nathan Ratchford. All right, we got a couple of minutes, Shelby. It's time. We're going to close this segment out with my song. It's coming, okay? You know what I want to hear, Shelby. Yeah, all right. Play it for us, Shelby. That's it. Oh, yeah. Nobody else can do that.
You said this is the only outdoor show in America. Man.
Only out. This is the fastest 90 minutes with the greatest.
And Frank's going to play it next.
Frank's going to play it. Yeah, he's got it over there. He's going to whistle it. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Good Saturday morning, everyone. Once again, it is the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray show. All things that you want to find out about what's going on in the outdoor world in the Mid-South, you can find out it here with Larry Ray. Bird watching, hunting, fishing, kayaking, just about anything, and even dogs. We can find out about it with the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray. And so, without further fanfare, the one and only, the oracle of the outdoors, Larry Ray.
Oh, Frank, I look forward to the third Saturday of the month because we get Frank and John Gordon in here, and they're so enthused on this Saturday morning to be here, and they're over there competitive segment announcers. I guess I could call them that. But,
it's friendly competition.
Friendly competition, you know? But I think the tie goes to the runner. So I'm not sure which one's the runner right now. But appreciate
got
both
the voice, man. You know,
doesn't he though? Is that not something? He needs to work for a radio station and over there in Marion. But anyway, Frank, you got a special guest you've lined up for us now, and I'm really excited about it because we know the Master Nationals comes around every year. Frank does the traveling. He was the official dog counter for years for this event, and now Frank has stepped up to a higher position, but he still knows that we're going to have over 1,200 dogs come September at the Master Nationals up near Paducah, at little hamlet called Keville. Keel. Okay, that's what it is. But Frank, tell us who we got coming up next on the show.
Well, on this segment, we have Annette Pacheco from Roseburg, Oregon. Annette is vice president with Master National, but this year, her more important title is she is the chief marshal for this year's event.
And Annette good Saturday morning, and welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray, and talk about being the chief marshal. That's a pretty impressive. Do you get a badge for that? I mean, there's a badge for that.
She gets a target.
She gets a target
on
for
her
that.
back.
Talk about. Good morning, Annette, and talk about the challenges that you guys are facing come September. What does it mean to be the chief marshal of this wonderful event?
Well, good morning to all of you, gentlemen. I appreciate having me as a guest. First, I'll address the target.
Yeah, Frank said that. I didn't say that now.
It's more of a sandwich board. I've got them front and back.
Okay, a sandwich board. I like that.
Pretty much, it's a very challenging position, and we rotate this position as well every year. And so there's been some of us that have already done their duty. You said due diligence at this position, and it's my turn in the bucket. So that being said, primarily responsible for the organizational skills and the networking that is involved in planning the event. I work closely with the president of the Master National, who then networks with the host club.
Yeah.
And between the three entities, we arrange everything from finding local resources, businesses, contacts, workers, vendors that we try to partner with in the local community, because this brings a substantial amount of income into the local communities wherever we hold the event. And primarily, the big focus, and certainly we're into a countdown now, we're about probably a month and a half out, is all the field resources. Making sure we have the proper equipment. We're prepared for almost any weather other than the torrential downpours last week.
Yeah, okay.
And,
yeah.
But yeah, that's what it is. We organize, we have many members on the board and non-members who are serving as stake marshals, who will run their individual groups out at the wildlife management area. And it takes a lot of people to make this thing go.
Well,
and a lot of work.
You have, as Frank tells me, how many dogs we think Frank might be there this year?
I told Annette last week I thought something north of 1,100 dogs for this year's event.
Wow. And you've had the privilege, I guess, Annette, that Frank's driven to your town a couple of times. You have hosted this event in Oregon. So you know the magnitude of this, and I know, as you mentioned, the Paducah area, this is a really big event for the Paducah area for us economically, too, isn't it? Isn't that what you said?
Yes, sir, it will be. My home club, Umpqua Valley Retriever Club, has had the fortunate opportunity to host this event twice. It is a big economic surge, especially to the tourism coffers, if you will, of the local city or county, wherever it's held in.
Right.
It's very, it's a great partnership.
Well,
and we like to do that.
Well, I know that how you got into sports kind of a unique story too. Kind of quickly tell us, because I know you grew up in California before you moved to Oregon. You had a professional career and all these different kind of things. And I read on your bio there that you really, you came to this and loved dogs. That's part of it. But tell the listeners how you got to what you're doing now.
Well, you read the bio. Yes, I had a 28-year career working for the state of California. And during my employment, real quickly, I met a coworker who was involved in this sport, and I had no idea what he was talking about.
Okay.
And he showed me pictures of his new dog, etc. And so fast forward, my husband and I have always had dogs. When we lost our pet Labrador Retriever, I remembered some tips that was given to me by this coworker, and so I got my first quote-unquote gun dog.
Okay.
Didn't know what to do with it. Took it to a local trainer. That trainer then took me pheasant hunting and said, here's how you do it. And from there, introduced me to the local retriever club, Umpqua Valley Retriever Club.
Yeah.
And that's how it started, and that's how I'm still playing.
And again, we're talking to Annette Pacheco. She will be the chief marshal for the Master National coming to Paducah in September. And Frank, y'all had a chance to visit the grounds. Talk about this facility, Frank, that you're going to be having this event, because this is one of the closest one we've had here.
It'd be the closest one in the Memphis area.
Yeah. So talk about it.
Ever.
Talk about that.
Ever.
The facility.
Well, it's Western Kentucky Wildlife Management Area.
Okay.
It's it's a joint venture with United States Department of Energy and the state of Kentucky. The Department of Energy owns the land, and the state of Kentucky manages it.
Okay.
So it's a multi-use property. Not only it serves not only the retriever world, but also coon dogs, pointer dogs, horseback community, archery community, fishing, and of course bird watching. We always talk about that. So
yes.
it's a multi-use facility which creates interesting dynamics, because when we go out there, we will not have exclusive use of the property.
Oh, really?
We have to share it.
You'll be sharing it while
we'll
you're
be
there.
sharing it with the general public,
Okay.
and the general public will be able to ride through and watch what we're doing. So it's easy to ride. It's easy to find it, and it's easy to get around because they got all weather roads everywhere, and so you'll have an opportunity of seeing the best hunting dogs in the country that train year-round to be at this one event.
And Ned, I know that in your capacity, you couldn't do it without the volunteers. Frank's talked about that. It takes a lot of folks to put this on, doesn't it?
Yes, sir, it does, and that includes our own board, the Master National Retriever Club board. We are all volunteers as well.
So the board, you don't just sit around at the board place and talk games. You guys are out there in the weather and things along this line. But so I know what it is. But this club is, how long has it been around, Frank? You know this. How old is it?
Since 1991.
Since 1991. So you've seen this progression, and come to Paducah. And I know, have you already set up next year? Do you do a year in advance, or do you wait till after this event, Annette? What's the procedure on that?
Our next year's location has not yet been confirmed, but it does take a year. As soon as this event this year ends, the doors open and the ball starts rolling in planning and organization for the next year's event.
Well, I know he's not going to ask you, but Frank Barton, don't look around, Frank. I know you're important to this. You love this thing. Come on now. You travel all over the world. You got 430,000 miles in your truck. Annette, how valuable is Frank Barton to this?
I will say in many ways he has not only been my mentor, but in many people who have served on this board for over 30 years, he's been their mentor and go-to person.
Well, Frank, I know you love this thing. You wouldn't travel around and pull your truck and everything like that. So we got a couple of minutes here.
Well, it's funny you say that. You know, my wife Lynn would ask me a long time. Said, "Why do you do this?"
Yes, I'm asking.
And she would, and she wasn't a regular attender of the Master National.
Yeah.
In fact, she didn't come to very many at all, and wouldn't stay long.
Yeah.
And then in 2012, we had the event down in Demopolis, Alabama.
Yeah.
And she says, "I'm going to come for the whole event." And so she did. She came down and she stayed for setup, and she stayed for the whole event. And we were about day 3 into the event, and we were sitting in the truck.
Yeah.
And she turned to me and she said, "I get it."
Oh, okay.
I said, "You get what?" She goes, "I get why you keep coming back."
That's
and if you come to the event and you get involved, you know, as I told the folks last year in Demopolis, you know, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
It's about the journey.
So
and the dogs. And so, again, we know those dates. What are those dates, Frank, again?
Starts September 23rd, runs through October 2nd.
Okay, folks, put that on your calendar. You can go to LarryRay.com. We're going to have a lot of information about it because it's in our area. Short drive up to Paducah. Annette, thank you so much for taking time to be with us on Outdoors with Larry Ray. And I look forward to you and the great events that you're going to have in Paducah. And we hope everything goes great, and I know it will. But appreciate you being on the show this morning.
Of course. Thank you very much, and thanks for showcasing the event. We appreciate it.
I love to do it. All right, let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. As I've said for almost 24 years, we've been on the air, rolling here, what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming. And guys, John, Frank, we've already been through an hour. It rolls. I know it may not seem like that, y'all, because Frank's all comfortable over there. He's found a chair that he can actually lean back. We'll have a big screen in next time, Frank. We'll try to get the TV here for you. But
I like this chair.
You like that chair? Well, everybody. Ron Wong sinks, and I can't see him over there. Okay, I don't know if he's over there.
Ron's just short, man.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
that's
he's vertically challenged.
You put him and Cooksey together.
Let's don't
they
do
don't.
that.
They don't add up to
Cooksey
much.
never comes in, so he's at ICAST. But anyway, one of our favorite guests coming on right now because she's done a great job in her capacity of as refuge ranger at the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge. You know, you got a Springville a date line on that, but she's all over. Today she's at Cross Creek, which is over at one of my favorite places in Dover. But they got a big event coming up at the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge coming up on next Friday, July the 26th, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Don't get confused now. Don't show up at 6:30 in the morning because Joan won't be there, okay? But it's always great to have on Outdoors with Larry Ray, Joan Howe. Good morning, Joan.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be on the show again. So always great to talk with you, Larry.
Appreciate you doing this. You've been how long have you been there now at the refuge?
I've been here for 25 years here at the refuge.
Wow. You've seen some changes, but I know this event coming up, Joan tells me that they've been banding critters since 1949. Mm-hmm. And now this a big event, as we said, comes up next Friday, is wood duck banding, which John, wood duck is one of the most beautiful God's creatures. I mean,
yeah, Larry, in the duck world.
In the duck world,
wood ducks.
A Drake wood duck is.
They're really, they're at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, and I've seen some great taxidermy done on wood ducks. But next Friday, they're going to be banding some wood ducks. And you say, they're going to be crazy. It's July. it's hot and things like that. So talk about, Joan, what's going to happen next Friday.
So, the whole thing about banding birds, especially migratory birds, that is just a way to gain information about the birds. We've done a lot of conservation with waterfowl since the 30s and the 40s, restoring wetlands, putting things in national wildlife refuges, waterfowl production areas, things to try to increase the population. But to learn about where they go from point A to point B has for a long time in history been done through banding. So you put a band on at a certain place, and when a bird is harvested or found at another place, then you can call it in, and you know that bird has at least gone from point A to point B.
Right.
You know a time frame when the band was put on and a time frame for when it was found, so then you can get an age on the bird. So a lot of historical data has been gotten from putting bands on birds. And we band every kind of bird out there, everything from eagles down to the little tiny hummingbirds. But waterfowl banding has been sort of a big thing. There's nothing more exciting than a waterfowl hunter to be able to harvest a bird that's got that lovely little band on it.
Yeah.
and then they can call in the banding. There's an international banding database that all banding information goes to. They can call that band in and find out where was that bird banded, how old is it, information about their bird. And most of these birds, waterfowl, will go up north to waterfowl production areas to reproduce. But there are two birds, the wood duck and the hooded merganser, that actually will nest in our area.
Okay.
So if you ever put out a wood duck box, hooded mergansers will use those too. And so we have a whole lot of wood ducks that use the refuge here in the summertime for these nesting purposes. Matter of fact, we're having a banner year. I just heard from the guy who checks the wood duck boxes here at Cross Creeks, and he says this is the second most productive year they've had on Cross Creek since he's been doing it for years and years and years. So we've got a lot of wood ducks.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we are the largest wood duck banding station in the nation on Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge. We got a biologist there by the name of Clayton Farrell.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been there for 30 years. Matter of fact, he started volunteering on Cross Creeks here and then moved over as a biologist to Tennessee Refuge. And I believe it was in 2021, he actually set a record for banding 1,600 wood ducks in one season.
1,600 wood ducks in one season. Now, so I know annually you say you normally band 800 to 1,000 wood ducks in one season.
Right.
And Clayton and them did 1,600.
Right.
And so
on that season, yeah.
And that's pretty amazing. And so you bring these things together for like next Friday. So tell us what's going to happen next Friday. How that works. 6:30
we do this
to 8:30.
normally our banding is first thing in the morning. I know your listeners probably would be fine coming up, but most people don't want to get up at the crack of dawn and go do this. So we conveniently do this in the evening.
Okay.
And we will capture these ducks in a trap all day long, and you'll actually get to come and go into the trap and herd the birds to a catch pen.
Okay.
And these are smaller pens where you can lift up the lid, go in and reach in and grab a duck. You can take your duck to the bander, watch them put the band on, find out is it a male or a female and how they determine all that.
Yeah.
Then once it's banded, they will hand you back the duck, and then you can go and release the duck. And you can do this multiple times because oftentimes we'll capture 200 or 300 wood ducks in a single evening.
This is a hands-on event if there ever was one.
It is.
And it's dirty. And it's dirty. And it's
dirty, so don't wear your best clothes. Bring a little bit of water.
Don't
Make
show
sure
up
you
in
have
tie.
a hat.
Yeah, have a hat on.
Closed-toed shoes, that kind of stuff.
And the rules are real simple. You need to be a member of the Friends of the Refuge, right?
That's correct. So this particular banding is a membership drive for Friends of Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge, but it's cheap and easy to join and be a member. Matter of fact, you can do it that evening, bring a little cash or a checkbook, and we can sign you up as a Friends member on the spot there. So you're going to need to come at 6:30 p.m. to this address.
All right.
550 Refuge Lane
I love that address.
in New Johnsonville.
I love that address. 550 Refuge Lane in New Johnsonville, folks. Don't show up at the Springfield.
Right, exactly. Don't show up at the visitor center. It's not at the visitor center.
Not at the visitor.
Now, that address will get you to our front gate, and when you go through the front gate, all you got to do, it's simple. You just follow the paved road, and it'll take you right to the office where we're going to meet you. If you get on gravel, you've gone the wrong way. So stay on the paved. It's kind of like follow the yellow brick road, follow the paved road to the little office there, and that's where we'll meet you at 6:30 p.m.
So how is there an age limit? I mean,
no, this is great for all ages. We've had little bitty toddlers all the way up to teenagers, and it's great for families, but of course adults love it too because it's so hands-on and so active. And then driving through the refuge, you see egrets and great blue herons and osprey and all kinds of other birds are just plentiful as you drive through there. So it's a great wildlife chalk evening.
One of my favorite places, and again, we're talking to Joan Howe. She is the refuge manager. She's ranger, as she said, 25 years. There is one thing I like. There is no need of RSVP. Just come.
Yes, just come. Just come.
So how many people? How many people do you usually have?
Last year we had about 50.
Did you have
We've
50?
had anywhere between 50 and 100 people.
Wow.
So 50 is about a nice sized crowd. You get 100 and it's fine. But, it's just whoever shows up and comes has a great time. Everybody leaves just loving the refuge.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, wonderful evening. You get to talk with staff, ask them any questions, and have a lot of interaction. And deep in the heart of one of the most wildlife-chocked places, Duck River Bottoms, of the area of the refuge.
And, of course, you can go to become a Friends of the Refuge member at friendstnwr.org. You can go online for that, or you can go online. They've got a great website for the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge. Joan, thank you so much. I know it's going to be a great deal next Friday, and I'm sure you're going to take some pictures, and we'll be able to post them on my website.
Be great.
You do a great job on that, so appreciate you as usual. Hope you have
All right. Hope to see everybody there.
Hope you have a great
Bye.
weekend. Thank you, Joan. Bye-bye. All right. Joan Howe. You think she doesn't like her job?
She
tell?
enjoys it.
Can you not
I
tell
believe.
that someone likes what she's doing? It's almost like the way Shelby McCall plays the trumpet. She actually said she missed a note in that last song. Did anybody?
I couldn't tell that. No.
The phone's not lit up or anything. They're not missing. So once again, we're the only radio show. Now, Shelby, you are. Tell my audience what you do besides being this.
I'm a producer here, and I also work in. I'm the operations coordinator over at another radio station here in Memphis.
At Crosstown. At Crosstown. And so if you want to go over there to Crosstown, I keep telling her I'm coming, and she keeps saying, no, you're not. But I am someday. But
No, you're not.
Yeah, yes, I am. But listen to her. But anyway, she's been doing this for over 5 years, I know, and she played trumpet in the University of Memphis band. She does gigs. You know what that means. That's not frog gigging, if you're wondering about that. But she plays in groups and things like that. Been a trumpet player at Cordova High, right? Mm-hmm. I grew up playing at that. So what are you going to play for us now?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Well, do it something. Let's have something. All right, how about that? Now, she deserves, a round of applause. Look, there you go. Thank you, Shelby McCall. All right, let's take a break, come right back, and let's wrap this baby up on today's show. Maybe one of our best segments ever, because it's got David Best in it. And it's Christmas time at his store out in Arlington. So let's take a break and come right back with David Best of Primary Tackle and SYS Wilson, Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. And really, I didn't know if I would make it today. I had one of my annual, sneezing attacks on Tuesday. It was, then I had another one Tuesday night. And I said, well, my voice is going to be gone. I said, I don't have to worry. I got Frank and David here. Frank and what's his name over here? Fred Bird. I got Fred Bird over here. All right. Mental block there. That's two of them today. All right. So, but anyway, always good on third Saturday to have Frank Barton and Fred Gordon over here.
Fred Flintstone.
Fred Flintstone, okay.
He may never come back.
No, he may never come back. He's on MTA train in Boston. He may never come back. All right, David Best joins us right now from S.Y. Wilson and Primary Tackle out in Arlington. And, David, I know that I noticed on your Facebook page that you guys are trying to keep us cool by having Christmas in July. So what does that mean?
So, every year we run that kind of dog days of summer thing where it's hot and nobody really wants to do a whole heck of a lot. So we do what we call our Christmas in July sale. We're not the only ones. It's a pretty industry-wide kind of thing. But, so we're running 10% off of everything in the store basically except for kayaks and coolers.
Okay. Right.
But, it's a great opportunity to come out and get some stuff before tax-free weekend coming up at the end of the month there for back to school clothing-wise.
Okay.
But, we're running it on everything just to kind of help push everybody along and get them started for their as we start clearing things out for fall.
I don't know why they ever started calling it Dog Days of Summer. I'm not a cat lover, but it could be Cat Days of Summer. But Dog Days of Summer. I've got two distinguished dog men in the studio with me this morning. So answer that question, John Gordon. Why do we call it the Dog Days of Summer?
That's a good question, Larry. I've never really thought about it other than maybe it's hot and a dog will just lay there and pant, right? And not move much.
How about that, Frank?
I think John gave a very good answer.
Very good answer. And then, David, you give the same answer. But
it's actually, I think where it came from is from an old man sitting there looking at his dog all summer long just laying out on the front porch.
That sounds
being lazy.
That sounds like a good result. But anyway, Dog Days of Summer are now the Christmas in summer at S.Y. Wilson and, of course, at Primary Tackle. And you guys have got a lot of things going on, though, before we get into local fishing, David. You got some sales going on. I saw that tumbler. Folks, I'm big on tumblers. I don't mean, like the Olympics when you tumble. I'm talking about the things you drink out of. And if you're not out in this kind of weather with some kind of and I harp on this a lot of times because I play golf. I play golf on Tuesday, and I see a lot of old folks out there with no hat on, panting like a dog in summer without anything to drink. But you got some new tumblers going on. You got some other things too, right?
Oh yeah, we're always looking for new products and new pieces that we can bring in, and like we've got that new tumbler out there. We've also got like the Yeti tumblers in here.
Yeah, that's right.
New colors and different styles there as well, and we're always adding something new. We've got a lot of new waterproof speakers, Turtle Box and Speakwa, and
yes,
those speakers that you can just dunk in the water and everything will be fine.
Amazing.
Speakwa's all float, so you can drop it off the kayak and just let it float beside you or throw it in the pool while you're trying to stay cool. It's an awesome piece.
And I guess now would be a good time to check on if you're thinking about a kayak too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you do have a few of those out there, don't you?
I do still have some. I mean, I'll be honest. We've been selling the stew out of them. I mean, I sold one just about every day this week. It's been busy. I've been a little surprised. I mean, for it to we normally sell quite a few in July, but we've sold a few more than normal. So, but we're still in really good shape. Got lots of colors, lots of choices. So,
what are your brands? What are your brands again?
Carry lots of New Canoe and Hobie is probably our two top brands, and we still carry a lot of Jacksons as well. So
and this is a great thing to have at this time of the year if you're trying to get up in some places under the shade.
Yep.
Just look at. Just make sure there's nothing on the limb over you.
Yeah.
When you're in the shade, but. Of course, David helps us out frequently, give us that fishing report. And, David, I know we've had finally got a break in the weather earlier this week, and we've had some rain came in. So what's the word on fishing you're hearing?
Fishing has been pretty good. I've talked to a lot of guys that are catching them pretty decent. They're catching a lot of them on like big worms, some crankbaits, top water first thing in the morning, middle of the day, not so much, but and again just towards the end of the day. But I had a buddy come in here the other day. He caught 2 over 6 at Beach this week.
At Beach, okay. One of my favorite places. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's catching his on a big worm. So that's that time of year. That's kind of the 3 baits that a lot of people throw. It's a great choice. Swim baits also been catching some fish as well. So in a Ned rig, of course, it always catches fish.
And of course, you can still catch some brim. The bluegill are out there.
The bluegill have been biting.
Just look for those beds, and I don't know when the next full moon will be. I haven't looked at that, but I know the water temperatures are still in the 80s. I'm assuming.
Yep, they are
at most places. But just be careful, folks. I know the boating season's going on right now, and as David said, a kayak would be a great choice because we have got. I think of Herb Parsons, which is going to be doing so much at Herb Parsons, Glen Springs, any of the state agency lakes. But just tell them where you're located, David.
We're right here on the square in Arlington at 12020 Walker Street. We've got a big parking lot, plenty of space for people to come out and see us. All kinds of good stuff going on. So come out, visit us.
Yes.
We're doing coffee on Saturdays from 10 to 2 for free.
Okay.
You get to try a new flavor each week. We've always got something brewing in there. So come see us.
And so when you're on the way to Slingshot Charlie's or you're on the way to Dave Pipe Dream Farms Butchery to pick up something, go by and see David Best and all the good folks out. Thank you, David. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Thank you, Larry.
Always good to talk to you. Thank you. David Best. Appreciate David. So, guys, I know that we're in that time of the year, and I was really thinking about that. I don't know why Peanut Kwan keeps trying to call me right now. I don't know if he's trying to tell me something that we've said that offended him. I hope not, but I'll check with him after we get off the air. But this time of the year, Frank's in training. You've already got the two dogs qualified for Paducah, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Goose and Hershey.
Yeah. Is your dog? Now I know you lost your trainer, didn't you? You had
yeah. So
what are you up to with Buster?
Just running him through some drills and stuff. Nothing too serious. Like I said, he'll be back in the field. Yeah, I'm taking him to North Dakota in August, and he'll be in Texas again for teal. So he's just going to roll right back into the hunting mode, really.
What are you hearing from the north up there in the Dakota?
It's good,
I've heard it's got more rain than they've had.
Yeah, they got a lot more water than they've had in years, both in Saskatchewan and North Dakota.
Yeah.
The timing wasn't perfect for it, right? But I think a lot of the late nesters, like teal, for example, I think benefited from it greatly. Some ducks probably had to re-nest maybe because they may have lost some. I know Minnesota got a tremendous amount of rainfall as well. Same deal there.
Manitoba's been slammed. I've heard.
Yeah, so
heavy
it
rain.
Finally seems to have broken in those areas.
So here we are, optimistic in July.
You got to be, right, Frank?
Frank's optimistic.
You just have to be optimistic.
Pardon my French. Ain't nobody more optimistic than a duck hunter.
But I'm not buying my license yet, Frank. Okay, I'm hanging off for a while.
One thing too about this year, down in Texas, especially, with they've had the tropical storm and a hurricane. Conditions down there are, much better than last year as far as the wintering birds go. All the marshes and everything, the freshwater marshes are all full and all that, and they were all dry all through the fall last year. So, hopefully. Arkansas too, has gotten more rainfall. It was extremely dry when the birds came through last year too.
Yeah.
So that all contributes to what's kind of
I
success
know
you have.
You've got some roots in the Houston area, and it's been bad for those people down there.
Man, and some of these people just got power back.
Just got power. Some for like. What's it been? Burrow's been like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, right. So they were and I tell you what.
My power went out for 4 hours earlier this week, and I was panicking,
I've been there before in Houston in 1983, Hurricane Alicia. We didn't have power for over 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks in the summer in Houston is brutal, to say the least. So I got real fortunate. My place was right there just west of Palacios, Texas, right? So the eye wall came in around right in Bay City. So what it did is it took a jog to the east. Right before it hit. So that really kind of spared us a lot down there because we were on the west side of the eye.
You're on the east side.
And the east side, man, got churned. All up through, up places like Channel View and Baytown, all the way up through Houston, and then up into more East Texas got pretty hammered and lost a lot of trees, lost a lot of power.
I love Galveston, but I wouldn't live there. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not a huge Galveston fan, really.
No, I like Glenn Campbell when he sang it. I like that. And I've been to Galveston Island, and I've been to Padre Island down in the south, but it's so vulnerable in there. But I was wondering how that was going to affect the wildlife.
Well,
because they have not mentioned that.
Talking to
but the rain had to be beneficial.
Talking to some of my contacts that it's they've got water for teal and stuff now. And
you'll be hunting them when is
it opens September 14.
September, about the same time we open up with our
that's correct.
wood duck season here. Yeah, okay.
That's right. And Louisiana opens the same time. Pretty much, most all of the Central and Mississippi Flyway areas down here in the South will open there. We're going to try to do some filming in Nebraska, and they're going to open September 1. So we're going to come down from North Dakota, yeah.
Yeah. And I know, Frank, you're getting ready for Paducah and getting set up for that, but you still training right now? I mean, getting your dogs?
Every morning. Every morning. Just get up and try and keep them tuned up, not doing anything heavy. And but in about 3 or 4 weeks, we'll start, tightening the screws back down on them.
Well, we're going to be staying on it right here with Outdoors with Larry Ray, Ron Wong, and we're hoping to get Bill Cooksey on next week. Bill's down at ICAST, as a lot of our friends are this week. But I know we're going to talk to James Hall. He is the Bassmaster magazine editor, and they've just come out with their 100 top bass lakes in the nation, and we're going to talk to James about that. And we'll look at these folks. We got one of the big-time guys in bass fishing next week. We got 11-time champion Skeet Reese is going to be on next week's show. Skeet's one of our favorite people. If you just read that they just named a new reel, a gold-plated reel from Cast Kings for Skeet, and he'll be on next week's show. And then once again, we'll wrap up ICAST down in Orlando, because I'm sure that Bill and Ron will have that. Guys, thank y'all for being with us, as you always are, putting up with me, all my mistakes, and you're just great with all that, But Shelby, thank you for bringing your trumpet, entertaining us. As we say, it doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And what else, guys?
God bless the USA.